Good morning, all, and happy Faith Family Focus Friday. This is Faith Family Focus. I'm one of your co-hosts, Faith Suggs, former Duke women's basketball graduate and currently founder and CEO of Brand by Faith, a social media and storytelling company that's dedicated to telling stories of our clients. And this wonderful man next to me is my father, Schaefer Suggs, former NFL player with the New York Jets and the Cincinnati Bengals, and has also served as VP and on the executive board as hold on, Dad. RPFPC.
The retired professional football players in Chicago. Yes.
The retired professional football players in Chicago, for those of you guys don't know, is where they go once they stop playing. And we had a couple great shows talking about them and the great work they do. So if you don't know, we'll update y'all. But welcome, Dad. Happy Friday. How are you?
I'm doing great, Faith. It's a hot couple days. I guess it's hot before the fall. But I'm enjoying it. We've been having a lot of, as you well know, a lot of storms.
Yeah.
Hurricane watches. I know that last weekend there was a scare with where Devon was in New Haven with Henry, the hurricane. We thought it was going to go through the Hartford area and come back, but we were very fortunate. He was very blessed that it did not impact that area very much. But, let's get through this hurricane season.
It's 103 degrees here. Yesterday was so hot, I feel like I was gonna faint in the parking lot. When I was on my way to get my nails done yesterday, I felt like I had ran a mile. It was so hot. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to figure out where that fall weather's at because I am over it.
The heat, huh?
Over it.
You didn't work outside, did you? You just were in transit to get your nails done? I know that you'll go through a storm to get your nails done.
I will. No, of course I will. I worked out. And that's probably what the issue was. And then I came. Good morning, everyone.
Oh, Hazel.
I worked out and then I went and got my nails done. But it was hot outside. It was hot outside.
So, what are you sporting today with your nails? Whoa, those are pretty. Wow.
They look like turtles. I'm just trying to get all these photos together. It's what we could talk about today. But Dad, talk to us a little bit about what's going on in Chicago. I know the weather is kind of crazy, but how is everything going on as kids are going back to school? Are people excited? Are people restless? Because I'm telling you, after seeing some of these videos of people traveling on the airplanes and they get in all these fights, I thought that people were a little restless, but I don't know. I'm hoping that now the kids are going back to school, parents have a lot more patience with each other.
Well, there's still a lot of tension.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of debate whether or not they have the right to mandate whether or not kids wear their masks. It's interesting that most kids don't care. They want to just get back to school, get back to home.
They don't care at all.
That's still like in different pockets, right? I know that a lot of kids, a lot of schools. I've talked to a couple principals, a couple teachers that are just the first couple of weeks has been a little tense, but seem to think that it's going to get back to normal. People just understand that there's a level of acceptance. This is the new norm, especially with the new variants that exist. I mean, if you don't want it to shut down again. I mean, we knew what life was without all of our, completely shutting sports down, going remote, a whole bunch of different things that we really don't want to go back to. So, it's what's going on here, Faith, is going on everywhere. I'm just, happy that hopefully we're in front of it. But that's what's going on here. Football season is starting. I know the first football games tonight. I know that Yale, Devon, they have their first scrimmage tomorrow morning. They're actually having 3 scrimmages before their first game.
Are you a proud papa? Tell everybody what his jersey number is. Go ahead.
19, yeah. Just a lot of meaning. We always try to find meanings. Of course, he was born on 9/1, so that's backwards 19, right? And he's also 19 years old. Of course, He was born on the first day of the month, and of course his mom went to heaven on the ninth. So 19 is a good number for him. And it's kind of interesting. We all had our different numbers, that we had to find. I was 35 at the Jets. I mean, with the Ball State, and I got 23. And I
Mhm.
I learned adapt to 23 became to be a really good meaning for us. And then of course, you had 23, Devin had 23, then you got 14 because 14 was a good number for you, but 23 wasn't available, and 14 was the day that mommy was born. So now Devin has his new number, 19. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a good, but they have his first scrimmage. I texted him last night. I asked him how it's going. He said it's going good. So I don't know what that means, other than I know that they have him going back and forth from playing QB. He has a red jersey for QB, and then they got him running some patterns. So I have a feeling with what I think is happening is that they are going to utilize him in dual roles, which is one of the reasons they recruited him to be the kind of quarterback that he could throw, he could also run, like the quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, Taysom Hill. So we'll see what happens. This gets you can see I'm getting really excited about football, right?
You are. You're going on and on. We love it because you are. We didn't even get to NFL yet, but you were talking all about football, and I just didn't want to interrupt you. But yeah, and Devin will be on. He actually reached out to us and said he wanted to be on the show with a couple of his teammates when they get some free time. So that's wonderful. Good morning to everyone who's saying hello. Of course, we love you guys. Good morning. Good morning, Pam. Good morning, Miss Bunny. Everyone joining us for.
There's Sandra. Yeah, there she is. Yeah.
Will you just let me do the technological stuff, please? And you just be the beauty of the show, please?
Oh,
Um,
you let me be the beauty. Okay, I'll roll with that.
y'all see what I got to deal with every day. A few things going on in sports, though. Let's dive into that. Cool things, Dad. Stephen A. Smith actually called out Magic Johnson and said, "Magic, when are you going to get on ESPN and start joining us on the other side?" So I don't know. I kind of wish I would want to see that. I think Magic Johnson would be a great reporter. Don't you think?
He's phenomenal. I know that he's very animated. I know that he has he has his phenomenal smile. He has a good grasp of the English language. I know that he was kind of criticized for that in the beginning, but he just does a really good job of bringing credibility, energy to the game, and I just hope that he gets back on because he's one of my favorites. He's definitely
You
one of
talking
my
about
favorites.
Magic Johnson, right?
Huh?
You talking about Magic Johnson?
Yes, Magic, right?
Yeah, just making sure. Because in my lifetime, Magic hasn't been. I've seen a little bit here and there, but never on TV like I've seen. Like a Richard Jefferson, Jalen Rose.
Right.
The faces we see. Not Paul Pierce anymore, though. Obviously.
Well,
Um,
let me say something. He brought he brought something to broadcasting that they were not used to. And you see a little bit of that with Jalen Rose, just a little bit of that. Okay, real type talking. Stephen A. Smith, that real type talking. Wasn't all official and making sure that all your words, this real conversation that Magic brought, and I think that's one of the reasons that he needs to come back.
yeah, but he's living his life on his yachts in Italy. But I would love to have Magic Johnson. I love having former players in general be in these seats, especially on the other side. When we talk about broadcasting, reporting, and telling the stories. It's so much fun when you have athletes who actually have done it, talk about it. And I also think because it just gives more opportunity to Black people and former people of color when we talk about sports, because that's really what it's all about. And since we're on that topic, Rachel Nichols has been removed from all NBA coverage after her little squabble with Maria Taylor that we talked about back. Ooh.
Oh wow! So was this something recent that happened?
This recently just happened. I knew you didn't know about this. They also have canceled her show called The Jump. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's her, Richard Jefferson. It's a pretty good show, but they've canceled it. I don't know if they canceled it because she has ownership of it, and you can't. I don't know. Sometimes broadcasters negotiate. You can't do the show without me. I don't know if that's why they did it, but either way, she is no longer running NBA content, and she's also no longer doing The Jump. So very interested to see kind of which direction her career follows. For those of you who don't know, obviously we talked about this in a wonderful show back in July. Rachel Nichols was caught on behind the scenes tape talking about Maria Taylor, a great Black woman news anchor, and she also did some great coverage with the Olympics this year. So congratulations to that. But if you don't know about it, we did a one for show about it. So that's some like new news. I know you didn't know about it, but I want to make sure we talked about it because we talked about this. We didn't know which way the ESPN was going to go. They win.
So this is after some time of just doing some investigation, and they just took their time to make the decision to remove her. And they removed her, just so the viewers understand, they removed her for what, go ahead.
I'm going to try to say it where I don't seem biased. She spoke out on the tape saying that she didn't on the fact of it's on the topic of affirmative action, right? In hiring more Black and brown people in spaces of diversity in ESPN. But she said, as a woman, I've already faced my form of adversity. Agree with her on that. In trying to get into these doors that was really led by a man-dominated career path. She then called out Maria Taylor. She was upset that they kept giving Maria Taylor these opportunities to NBA Finals, NBA All-Star, NBA, all these great things that Maria was getting because she was Black. And when we take a step back away from it, we realized at the end of the day, what she was really saying was because Maria Taylor is Black, that's why she got the opportunity, not because Maria Taylor is Black, but also extremely talented. And that is where a lot of the uproar came up, and there was a disconnect.
Okay.
And also conversation about allies and who was really supporting you and who was not. And my biggest thing was I don't like women on women contact, period. I like for us all to uplift one another, but one of them had to go, so she's gone. But I do want to give a great shout out to Maria Taylor. Had so much class throughout all this. And she did a great job with our Olympics coverage with NBC this year. So like God says, when he always makes things right, and Rachel Nichols will land on another great opportunity, just not within the NBA coverage.
Okay.
Yeah, I just had to say. I just wanted to know you didn't know about that.
Wow. Well, that's why we're the co-host, but you're really the host. I mean, you're the quarterback. I just got to run the play.
You're the beauty. We just said that. The beauty of the show. You're the looks. The looks and the wisdom. That's fair?
I have the wisdom. How about that? So what's next?
What's next? Well, what's not next? Oklahoma and Texas go to SEC. Pac-12, Big Ten, and ACC form an alliance. That's what's next. That's what's moving right now. We're right in the middle of it. They came out, 3 commissioners came out early this week to talk about how they will keep an alliance with one another until 2035, which I don't even know where I'll be in 2035. It's crazy that's how long that alliance is. That they will not ever merge away. They'll always keep relationships with one another. They'll always keep games with one another. They will. It's all open, right?
SEC is forming their close bond, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So basically, these 3 are forming a bond. Let me pull it up. Basically saying this alliance keeps them in a so-called gentleman's agreement, which I thought was sexist, but I let it go.
So what three are we talking about? What?
That's what it said. They called it a so-called gentleman. You thought I made this up?
What 3 schools we're talking about?
Oh, no, all 3 conferences: Pac-12, Big Ten, ACC. They formed a gentleman's agreement. This means that it's in reaction, though, to the SEC's recent aggressiveness, which they say was highly motivated by the ESPN. Obviously, ESPN wants to know our big-time games on TV. And so Oklahoma and Texas moved over to SEC alongside Alabama, alongside Auburn, alongside everybody over there that's really great at football, which is going to be interesting with basketball and how they're impacted.
Yeah, really.
But this alliance between the 3 has already kind of come into effect. Duke has scheduled a game with UCLA. Oregon has scheduled a game with, I believe, I can't remember. Oregon scheduled a game with Michigan, and North Carolina, ACC, scheduled a game with Arizona. So you see this kind of coming in effect. They're trying to keep the money inside these 3, but they're also leaving the poor little Big 12 with Baylor, with Texas Tech, with a lot of great schools in it, kind of on the back burner, left behind after Texas and Oklahoma left. So this is all still moving. It's moving pieces.
Right. We talked about that last show. You got K-State, Iowa still left. You have Texas Tech,
Iowa State, Texas Tech, TCU, Baylor. That's the big one that people are trying to see what Baylor's going to do. But Pac-12 spoke out recently. So when all of this came out, the biggest question was, what will the Pac-12 do? Will they bring in teams from the Big 12, Baylor, to kind of do similar to what was going on? And plus, they think Big 12 was falling apart. Pac-12 announced, I think, yesterday that they will not be expanding the conference. So that means that Big 12 and Baylor are staying where they are. So it's all moving, Dad. It's all still moving pieces, and probably by first game of the season for football, it's going to be different. And by the first game in November of basketball season, it's going to be different.
What is Notre Dame going to do? Because Notre Dame has always been the independent, been always able to call their shots. What do you think that they're going to lean toward with their football game?
Tell me this, Dad. So I need you to give me just some context real quick before I answer that question. How good was Notre Dame last season?
As far as football?
Yeah.
They were okay. I think that, they're good until they play an SEC team.
Okay, so for me, Notre Dame, I think when I was in college, they had one really great year where they went to the college football national championship, or they were in the football, the Final Four, whatever. I don't really understand how you guys do it, but it's pretty cool. Notre Dame is this floating piece when we talk about football. Obviously, basketball and the other sports are in the ACC. Is Notre Dame football still allowed to be that floating piece? Or do we send the bus to the ACC to play
Notre Dame football is in a class of its own.
Okay.
They've had that NPC contract for a long time.
Right.
So.
Go ahead. I have actually a good point. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. But
since we have the NBC contract, and SEC now is dominating ESPN with Texas, Oklahoma, Longhorn Network, and all the stuff that goes into SEC Network as well. Why not bring NBC to ACC, Big Ten, Pac-12? Why not form that alliance, join that alliance? But that probably costs a lot of money. But do you know what I'm saying? I mean, because Notre Dame's now this outlier, this straggler, because those three formed that alliance, and I don't know if they want to pick up outside, because technically Notre Dame would be a non-conference game. Now, ACC, Notre Dame still plays more ACC games than they do with anybody else, right? But they're technically a non-conference, and because this alliance has been scheduled and agreed to, I don't know if it means they can play Notre Dame.
Yeah, so they would be crazy not to want to play Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a big revenue draw for any team that plays them. That's why they've been able, just because of their history, just because of over the years, any team that's going to play Notre Dame, it's going to be a draw. So that's why Notre Dame has been able to call their shots. And that's what's going to happen. Now, I can see Notre Dame playing a team in the ACC because they can. I can see a team playing Notre Dame playing a team in the SEC just because they can.
It's interesting. I do want to see if they do pick up an SEC game. I do want to see where Notre Dame lies within all this, because at the end of the day, they do have somewhat of a financial alliance to the ACC in terms of every single other sport.
Yeah. So every other sport is in the ACC for Notre Dame except football. Football, they're still independent.
Yes, I know that. I remember that. I was in the ACC. But I don't know if I was Notre Dame. I mean, it's a lot of money. I think that anybody that plays SEC team now is making a lot of money. Now, when it comes to basketball, I don't know how all this plays out. I really don't. SEC basketball is, you know what I mean? It's a powerhouse, of course. I mean, you have great contenders every single year, but it's not ACC. I mean, the Pac-12 has UCLA, Stanford. I mean, you know what I mean? It's a little different when it comes to basketball.
It's so different. It is so different.
So there are some pros for this. Pros are we get to see some really great matchups. We get to see Duke basketball. We get to see Michigan basketball. We see Oregon basketball. We see Arizona. We see North Carolina all playing against one another, right? Yearly. That's great. Cons, smaller schools, little baby schools. We talk about Ohio, North Texas, the ones that are always in there that kind of upset a little bit in the preseason. They may not get the revenue games that they normally get because these non-conference games are being played by Duke to here or Michigan to here.
So they would rather, I get what you're saying. So now, a Michigan, rather than play a team like Ball State, would rather play a team like UCLA, right?
because of this alliance. And I'll let you know, when I was at Duke, I never, ever, ever saw Duke play a lot of big time non conference games, right? They had maybe 3 a year where they would throw UCLA in there, or they would throw, really, Dad, it wasn't a lot actually.
Well,
And they never played them at home. They're kind of known for that. Duke doesn't like to do this. So this alliance is actually very interesting for a school like Duke, a powerhouse like, you don't know where your phone is, a powerhouse like all the other ones. You know what I mean? So I'm interested to see, because it really is about to change basketball around, because basketball is a strategic sport. It's not like football where you play 10 games. Basketball is a long season. And if you start the season off and lose to Arizona, that impacts what you're seeded in March. It's a different dynamic. So way different than what we're used to.
Yeah.
But do you want to dive into anything else before we kind of talk about what we're going to talk about today, which is a lot?
Yeah. Are we taking a break, or are we just going to go right in?
Yeah, we'll send everybody back to commercial, and then we'll talk about what yesterday was, which was Women's Equality Day. And we'll see you guys in a second. And when we come back, we're going to talk Women's Equality Day, the great women in our lives, the power of that, but also the little star spawner who's killing it in the Little League as the only girl playing this year in the Little League World Series. Alrighty, wonderful break, and that's also a reminder to everyone: good luck going into school this season. We had a great show last Friday. It feels like it was 2 Fridays ago. Last Friday, about talking about back to school, virtual to in person, and trying to encourage the kids to have a wonderful, wonderful school year. Yesterday, Thursday, August 26th, is the annual History of Women's Equality Day. Women's Equality Day. It was passed in 1973. This is the day that women were allowed to vote, which is the 19th Amendment, for those of you who don't know, led by Susan B. Anthony in Seneca Falls in New York. That was a really good history lesson there. I have things to say about Susan B. Anthony, but that's another show. Not everybody was perfect. But it was a wonderful, wonderful day. And for women, this is an awesome. We have a lot of actually great holidays for women. We have International Women and Girls in Sports Day. We have International Women's Day. We have Women's Equality Day, which is an American holiday because it was when we got to vote. And this weekend, we had a wonderful, wonderful time with our family. Dad, you kind of want to tell us a little bit about the context of what this weekend was?
Well, yeah, it was a memorable day. It was my brother Mike, his retirement party. It was absolutely phenomenal. He spent over 40 years with Northern Indiana Public Service. He's done a phenomenal job, but it also got a chance to bring the family together. And I was thinking about women's equality and how it has paved the way. And then I saw a picture that really resonated with me. There's my sister, who is very successful. There's my nieces. Oh, well, actually, that's my niece and hold on, slow down.
These are the ones you need to be talking about, so get it together.
My goodness, but you're not giving me a chance. Chelsea on the right, Ashley, my oldest niece, and then there's Jessica. And there's my daughter Faith, all very successful. Real estate, I mean, everybody. Chelsea is expecting her second child on the right, which is Corey's wife. But I looked at this and I'm watching. There's a picture of all 5 of you standing. I don't know if you have that one. Which is your favorite one? I was hoping you'd send that. You didn't tee it up. So anyway, but they're all extremely successful. Jody and Dominique, that picture, maybe you're quick enough to show, because that was one I was hoping that you'd agree, because they all 5 are doing really good things. And as a result of what has happened over the last 100 years, to see how women have paved the way for equality, and women are having the opportunity to do and be whoever they want to be in life, it was really kind of neat. So it was just a great weekend. There it is. So my brother Mike, his 3 daughters, Dominique,
Ashley and Jody.
Ashley, Jody, Faith, and then Jessica is my sister. All five of these beautiful, I'm so proud. All five of these beautiful, my daughter and my nieces are doing really, really successful, powerful things. And their mother, their grandmother, Dorothy Suggs, would be so proud of them, all of them. So just wanted to share that.
Yeah. But no, and that's another great question. So we want to talk a little bit before we even dove into everything and the cool stuff. Women's Equality is such a special day, and Dad, you're so right. Is when you get to be around family, you get to see kind of the pieces of you that make sense now. You know what I mean? You get to see that everybody else has the similar soul ties as you do, and they same energy and similar personalities and style. And it's wonderful when you can see that's all influenced by, at the end of the day, one woman, Dorothy Suggs. And it's beautiful how families work that way. And then I have a few questions down there. Talked one, Dad, about the benefit of what strong women in your life. So what I wanted to talk about was what is the importance of strong women in your life. And for me as an athlete, it's powerful because I've had male coaches, I've had women coaches, I've had relationships where I've worked with women coaches, and then you have cousins and you have family and you have extended family. And the beauty of it is that it really influences you as you grow up to become the type of woman you want to be. You take pieces of everybody as you go. And that is the beauty of women's equality, is acknowledging the opportunities to put these women in the places they are in, and then they can benefit and bring everyone else along with them, and to continue to challenge the norm, all right, and push the level on what we can do and what we can dive into, and become maybe the first woman president of the United States, and this and that, and all these things, is continue to push the bar, and that's the beauty of that day.
Well, as you well know, my history, my mom was probably the most influential person in my life, and just just gave me one. She gave me a lot of history. So just how I share stories with you, she shared very similar stories, and not just stories about childhood, stories about history, and help me just really appreciate history and to kind of set that foundation. Maybe that's probably why I was a history major. And then how her relationship with your mom was too, how that built, and how Sue would sit there and listen to mom talk about history, talk about women, talk about just not being able to afraid to get out in front of things and take chances. When she was offered the executive director's position with the Bowling Park District, my mom was her biggest cheerleader. And just always been inspiration in my life. And if there's any of if you had Ashley, Jody, Dominique, Jessica, any of her grandchildren on this show right now, they would all say the same thing. So I was very, very fortunate and blessed to have a strong, powerful woman in my life that really kind of helped me get a lens on what that should look like and have a level of respect. Not being able to afraid to allow a woman in your life lead. Not let a woman in your life, be that person, because I know a lot of men have a hard time with that. I'm very fortunate to have that. Very blessed to have had that, and maybe that's why I embrace the fact that I had you first, and how I embrace women's sports, how it just resonates with me. All this stuff about women coaches and women CEOs and women vice presidents. God, my mom is just smiling above. Your mom is just smiling above when she watches this.
Mm-hmm.
So I could go on and on, as you can see. We talk about the influence that women have had in my life.
Yeah. And I wanted to give you time to think about 3 women this year that um, that you liked watching in sports or in life, that you think um, are great examples of Women's Equality Day. And I'll go first. My first 3 is Simone Biles. Mine's Olympic themed. Simone Biles, of course. Naomi Osaka, of course. And then Katie Ledecky. Katie Ledecky. Well, hold on. Let me throw Allison Felix in there too. So those 4 women, not only did they break records this year at the Olympics, they also challenged the norm of what we are supposed to be as athletes, as people, as Americans, as Olympians. the inspiration they did for young women and young men, giving people the chance to be vulnerable, giving the chance to be honest with themselves and not afraid to speak up for themselves. Those women to me inspired me a lot because we can't even talk about women achieving great things without talking about the beauty that women bring emotionally, patience wise, strategically. Women bring all of that. And I think that those four exemplified what it is to be a woman and what it is to challenge the norms of society placed upon women that we tried to break back when we made the 19th Amendment. What about you?
Wow, those are good. I see Sue Bird. I see Lisa Leslie. I see, some of the older, Wilma Rudolph, some of the older ones that is kind of, Wilma Rudolph was like, the first, track, female African American star, so I have a lot, because these are the women that my mom would talk about, of course, Lisa Leslie was one of your favorites. Of course, Sue Bird stands for a lot, so we can
Yep.
go on and on and on, Faith, but just young women, and we'll talk about our 12-year phenom baseball player in a little while, have so many good examples um, that can allow them to aspire to be anything that they want to be, not allow anything to get in their way. And I mean, there's still a ways to go. There's still ways to go, as we talked about, NCAA women's basketball. We still have a ways to go, but we're really
Yeah.
pushing the envelope. We have to continue to do that.
Yep. Yep, we do. We have ways to go. And that's why I said we continue to challenge the norm. I'll tell you this one thing that we learned this year specifically, now that we have a new vice president, now that we have seen, at the end of the day, the women that have been, whenever we see these hot topics that we've been talking about, a lot of it is led by young women or women, right? Challenging what it is to be great, what it is to be successful. You can't help but turn on ESPN and we're talking about a woman, or we're talking about news, we're talking about women. And it's actually really exciting to be. I think we're in a big movement right now, not just for women, but to all those who are underrepresented, not equal, or having the form of equity they could have. I think it's pretty exciting to see in 2021 after all that's going on, and we're still in the middle of a pandemic, right? And people are transitioning. It's pretty cool to see what some of these hot topics are and who they circle around, and what we define as greatness nowadays. And that women are some of those definitions of greatness. It's inspiring, and it's really inspiring to see in 15 years what these young women watching all of this, who they will become and what they will become, and the type of women and bosses and mothers and athletes or CEOs that they will be. So, yeah, great stuff. And a great transition to when we talk about the youth of tomorrow. We cannot help but talk about the Little League World Series right now. It's nowhere near to what it is normally, right? Because we cannot travel internationally. But these young kids are killing it right now in America, playing against each other. I got to see Hawaii play against a couple people. I saw Connecticut get smashed by Hawaii, actually. And I saw a couple games. It's always so fun to see those kids, because you always have some of them, they're like 5'11", and they're like 285, and you're like, he's 12? And then you have some of them who are like 5'2", and you're like, oh, he's 12. You know what I mean? You see like the different and dynamic. But the one kid that has really stood out is Ella Brunning. She's a starting catcher for the Wiley Little League from Abilene, Texas. It's not the first time we've seen a young woman play in the Little League World Series, but she is the only one this year playing out of Texas. And let me see if I can pull up a photo of her. First, I don't think we've ever had a catcher. We've had a pitcher.
Well, she can catch, she can pitch, she steals bases. She took a foul ball to the knee and stayed in the game. I mean, the girl is just, and she's so, she's cute. She got little braces. Oh my gosh, she is just phenomenal. I'm watching her play, and at that time, I think girls are a little bit taller than the boys, because she's taller. She's taller than most of her teammates,
Yeah.
But she is amazing, and such a charismatic personality. Just really, it's really, really neat. So they're still in it. So
It started off as a joke. She was the kind of the ball girl for her brother's team, and they kept joking with her. You want to come, they'll say, what if you came and play? What if you came and played? And she eventually did. And look at this now. And I guess on the topic of this, when I was reading an article on this last night and then I kind of refreshed on it this morning before we talked about it, I couldn't help but think about before the age of 13, gender in sports is blurred all the time, right? Girls play with the boys on soccer. We have co-ed basketball. I mean, how many teams did I play with or I had boy teammates growing up before the age of 12? And it wasn't until maybe 8 or 9 or 10 that we picked an all-girls league for basketball. But even then, you can continue to still play with boys in a lot of sports. And I was thinking to myself, like, when does it transition? And it obviously transitions when they become teenager and they start to get more serious about their sports. But there's so much benefit. When we talk about kids playing multiple sports, there's so much benefit in kids playing with different genders and different kinds of kids and where they come from up to that age. And I wanted to ask you, Dad, is how important is it for the gender lines to be blurred during that time period when they're younger, when it talks about kids' development, their kindness, all the stuff that goes into it?
So I don't know if I understand your question. Say that one more time.
So I'll answer it and then you can kind of give an opinion on it. So I feel that the benefits in blurring the gender lines in sports, which means that girls play with boys, boys play with girls, in soccer and t-ball and basketball and all the sports that come in before they get the age of 12, normally through rec leagues or the YMCA. I believe that not only do boys learn sensitivity and respect towards women, women also learn to not only create more of a see themselves as equal, girls, I should say, the girls at the time, see themselves as equal, see themselves as the ability to compete with the other gender, which is a big thing because for girls, they're immediately told from birth that they should be sensitive, they should be this, they should be that boys should be tough, boys should be aggressive. And so the boys, I feel like, balance each other out. And whenever I think about all our experiences back in the day, we played t-ball with boys, we played basketball with boys, we did all that stuff playing where the gender roles were kind of blurred, right? There was no one or the others in the sports during those time. I think of how much of a benefit it was for me understanding how to not only be social with others who weren't just like me, but also learning to me that my ability to compete as a woman was a lot stronger than what society could have told me back then. Does that make sense? What do you think?
I think I think it really sets the foundation for, especially for young girls, and I think it's important for fathers to kind of expose them to uh, any opportunity to see good role models. And I think it's really important. I think we don't. I think men need to. We talked about that one show, The Feminine. I can't remember what show that was, but it was very good about our perception and how we want our boys to view women, and I think that's important. But how our young women view themselves is important. So I think you covered most of it.
Yeah. And I think when we talk about that, and I can refer to that because we're talking about divine femininity and your divine masculinity, and within both genders, you have both, right? You have feminine and you have masculine. And that's the beauty of the human being, right? Is I don't know if you ever noticed if you ever met a man you've played with in football, and he's this ultra masculine, aggressive
Yeah.
man. And then you see him around his daughters or his wife, and it's a completely different story, right? Or you see women who are super classy and ladies, and then when you see them play, they're some of the strongest competitors you've ever seen in your life. And I think that the beauty and balance is that it comes from when we talk about teaching these kids how to play multiple sports and spreading themselves across the board on trying to find their abilities. I think we're also teaching them how to not only be great athletes by playing with the opposite sex, but also how to be great people. And eventually, maybe one of these boys that's playing with Ella, right, become high schoolers. They play in college and they graduate and they go on to work in the CEO. And they're okay then with appointing a woman CFO, or they're okay with appointing women on their board. It's very important we talk about diversity and equality and equity in the workforce and in sports. It kind of starts here, right? Teaching young kids how to respect one another, um, in favor of of their gender, right? Is what women bring to the table, what men bring to the table, and the benefits of that for a team, and what you saw when you played in Little League back in 2021. That is what, for me, is what's kind of beautiful. And when we get to see these young women play in the Little League World Series, and I don't know. I mean, I kind of love that it's baseball, right? And that softball, even though it's a great sport for young women, I love that they're both similar. I love watching softball as well, but I really love when girls play baseball because that was an original American sport.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun because it's such a male dominated American sport. And so when we see young ladies challenging themselves and playing and then being great at it, right? That to me is even more awesome for not just the kids playing, but the kids watching and the parents watching, because I'm sure a lot of adults need lessons on what young girls and what young boys can do with their abilities. And, we often, not everybody gets exposed to that at a young age.
Like that. That's a really good topic. I mean, really, it's and it resonates with me all the way back to our first show, the hashtag Girl Dad. That was a natural for me. I just love spending time with you. Of course, I had Devin in the wings, but it's just, why? Because that's the way my mom would have been with me. My mom was that hashtag mom. She was that. She was always out there with me, taking me to practice. She was doing that, so it was easy for me to play that role, Faith. So I really like to share that.
Yeah. Well, it's just so important. It's important because not everybody grows up with sisters.
Right.
Not everybody grows up with brothers. And so when you expose them at a young age, is what they bring to the equation is more than what's supposed to be down the line. You bring intelligence, you bring friendships, relationships, all that stuff that comes from a young age. It's beauty when you expose them to it. Just like when we talk about it, it's just as much of a benefit as we talk about baseball players should play football, or basketball players should be baseball, or basketball players should play volleyball. All this stuff is beneficial because you're trying to, at the end of the day, evolve, right? The whole point of us being human beings on Earth is to continuously evolve.
Right.
And when you don't evolve, you're not doing the right thing to be on this earth. Because you only get one life. I talk about this all the time. As parents, your job is to help your kids evolve. And while you're helping them evolve, you're supposed to be evolving so that their evolution is greater than your evolution. And for me, this is exactly what it is, right? These boys who play with Ella, way more ahead than probably most 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds. I'll tell you that, right? Or their peers. They have a different experience. They probably don't even see her as a girl. They see her as Ella, right?
Right.
But right now, and then they grow up, they have that friendship and relationship to rely on to teach them and guide them on how they're supposed to be as young men and how they're supposed to respect that each gender provides positivity and optimism to any equation it's at.
Would you encourage? And I would. I think we do. When there's the opportunity to, at an early age, create, encourage boys and girls playing sports together. So boys and girls basketball, when they first start playing, remember when you first started playing with the Panthers?
And I talked about that a little bit earlier, and I think at the all it's a great. I would encourage it every single time, because at the end of the day, we're talking about all these benefits. That's exactly what the point is. Like, by separating them early, you're not even like I get it. Boys play with each other and they're aggressive, and it's to get all that extra energy out. And girls play because at the end of the day, parents want to see their girl be a great athlete, right? To get them active. That's the difference between when parents put them in sports and when parents put them in clubs. That girls are very much a clear defining factor of that, right? Boys are always put in sports first. And so when you put girls in sports, I think it's even more beneficial if you're trying to push the envelope, if you're kind of challenge the norm of who they're going to be as human beings, because that's who they're going to be is already who they're going to be, because it's already laid out for them by God. When you challenge them and put them in uncomfortable positions, when you challenge them about people who don't look like them, who don't talk like them, who don't have the same amount of money as them, who are the different gender than them, you're already helping these kids grow head over heels more. You know what I mean? Like, they're up here compared to what their peers are doing by just putting them in these different kind of equations. So that's what I was saying. I mean, I don't really see a negative. I see a negative if no, I don't see a negative.
Because you see, in everything else, it's in when they're younger, every other activity, they're together. Band, music, choir, they're still having that interaction. In sports, I think it's important that there's that opportunity to do that really young.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, did you play when you played on that softball team? There were boys. Your first t-ball team had boys on it. They were the ones struggling the most. Remember?
Yeah. Well, boys develop differently than young women do. But we all know that you have both genders in your house. The girls just move different, and that's okay. But yeah, so great stuff for on that, and we still tuned in, and they're still playing. So if you guys haven't caught any games, I don't know what's going on right now with the Little League World Series, but you can't catch her. All you gotta do is type her name in, or even type in. They're from Abilene, Texas. They're the Wiley. That's a funny game for a team. It's the Wiley Little League team from they're from Avalon, so not really Abilene, Texas. Not much of a surprise there. But little pivot as we're nearing the last 10 minutes or 5 minutes of the show, we do have a surprise or a announcement, I guess we should say, for what we're bringing on Wednesdays, which I wanted to hold it until I had everything perfect, but September is right around the corner. So here's a quick snippet on what we are bringing to you every Wednesday at 9:04 a.m. Central Time.
Love it. I can't wait.
Great.
You had that dad that can't hold things. I was the one that wanted to open the present.
When that's on the screen, I can see his camera. Everybody else can't. I can see his camera, and he was cracking up over there. Just smiles. Yeah, no, basically the huddle is just my show every Wednesday. We have been doing hashtag Rerun Wednesday for about 2 months now. We loved it being able to kind of connect you guys with season 1. And we'll try to do that too every other week, trying to keep back something from our original days of 2020. And we started back in April. But every Wednesday at 9:04 at 10:04 Eastern, the huddle will bring you guests, hot topics. It's once a week. We'll try to do the best we can with making it something interesting every week. But it is something new, and we wanted to be able to give you guys something halfway through the week. I've done solo shows. You've done solo shows. So this solo show, kind of led by me, is going to be fun. And hopefully, like I said, we bring some interesting topics and guests that keep people.
I just want to make sure that can I be a guest on your show?
Yeah, we'll see. I see you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's when I see you. But yeah, no, exciting stuff. And if you guys have any questions, feel free. We're going to post this trailer out on Facebook as well, on both of our Facebooks. But that is something we wanted to do, is to not only give our faces, but also give my face, where I bring in guests that maybe are different from what Faith Family Focus would bring. Maybe it's sports given, maybe it's emotional given, right? Faith Family Focus is very much everything we do, right? We know our goals, where our goal is to build the family core, is to provide faith, is to try to lead through adversity, to try to tell our stories, to help others through their own adversity. And so the goal of the huddle is to do that and more, right? And maybe target a different audience. And so we're excited for it every Wednesday. And yeah, that's that. I mean, it is what it is.
I'm excited for you. Now, what are you going to be covering? Maybe.
Yeah, so what we're going to cover is not only sports. It could be sports. It could be marketing. It could be people's stories. It could be. It's bigger than what we do with Faith Family Focus, which is very much strengthening the family unit. And hopefully the huddle is something that strengthens the individual. And I feel like those two will go hand in hand with each other very well.
Awesome. I'm excited for you.
Yep. Yeah.
When you came to me with the idea, in my mind, I was hoping that would be something that you would do many, many months ago, because you are venturing off into some amazing things, not only with your company, but just with your contacts, different boards that you're in. And just being a strong young woman of color, woman, period, um, you would be able to just capture so many different, and I'm not saying a different audience, but a great audience. And I'm just really excited for you to launch the huddle.
The
And
huddle.
I love that picture because it really resonates. Beginning of your career to where your career actually um, ended as a leader. You're sitting in the middle of that huddle before every game, um, motivated and inspiring your team to go. And the fact that they put you in that spot tells you a lot about what you're going to be able to talk about in your new show, The Huddle.
Hopefully. Hopefully bring some fun stuff. But no, it's exciting. And like we said, the huddle will bring in September. We'll give you guys a specific date when we have our guests lined up for every Wednesday at 9:04 Central, 10:04 Eastern time. We'll be live Wednesdays with the huddle. But yeah, wonderful, wonderful Friday show talking about. But happy belated Women's Equality Day to the women in our lives, women who join us with Faith Family Focus. We're excited to have you guys part of the family. If you're new today, thank you for joining us. If you're old, welcome back. But most importantly, thank you to Amazon Fire, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Apple TV, and of course, our key platform out of Phoenix, Arizona, E360 TV. And our last logo for the day. Go ahead, Dad.
Let go, let love, let go, let God, let go, let faith, let go, let love.
Everyone have a wonderful Friday, and we'll see you guys on Monday.